Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of the Fort Worth missing trio, which were three girls, Mary Rachel Trillica, Lisa Renee Wilson, and Julie Ann Mosley. Mary was 17, Lisa was 14, and Julie was only 9. The three of them went Christmas shopping at the Seminary South Shopping Center in Fort Worth, Texas on December 23rd of 1974. And when they didn't come home, their parents went to the mall to go look for them, and they found the car parked on the second level of the Sears parking lot. The parents stuck around to wait for them to come back because it looked as though they had actually returned to the car previously because there were presents inside the car. And when they failed to come back, they notified the police, though the investigators presumed the girls to be runaways. And the next day, Tommy Trillica, which is Rachel's husband, received a letter that appeared to have been written by her, which read, "I know I'm going to catch it, but we had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel." But there is some issues with the envelope, which was written in pencil, and the letter itself was written in ink on a sheet of paper that was too wide for the envelope. Also, it was addressed to Thomas A. Trillica, which is a very official way to address your husband. She would normally probably have called him Tommy. And Rachel was written in the upper left corner of the envelope, and it appeared to have initially been misspelled, as the I in her name was written as a lowercase e, but then later gone back over to correct it. And this kind of seems, to me anyway, as though those may have been intentional things to do. Maybe she did actually write that like under duress, that she decided to use the very formal Thomas A. Trillica instead of just Tommy to kind of signal to him that something was wrong, that she didn't actually intend to write this letter. It doesn't actually say anything about that. It does say that there were people trying to analyze the handwriting in the letter, and there were no conclusive results there. But in any case, the family was not very happy with the way the police treated the case. They were not moving fast enough, and so the family decided to hire a private detective named John Swaim. And they discovered that a 28-year-old man who had worked at a local store where Rachel had applied for a job before her disappearance was making a string of obscene phone calls in the area. And this person would try to figure out the information of the young women that had either submitted a job application or been listed as references for that place, and start calling them and leaving all sorts of terrible, obscene phone calls. No other real connection than that. There were 2 times that there were skeletons found in Brazoria County, but both times they turned out not to belong to the 3 girls. It doesn't say who they did belong to, because of course those are people's skeletons, and it doesn't quite say whether they were identified in the end. Also in April of 1975, Swaim went to Port Lavaca, Texas with 100 volunteers to search under local bridges after receiving a tip that the girls had been killed and taken there, but no trace was found. Unfortunately, in 1979, Swaim died following a substance overdose. His death was ruled as self-inflicted. Upon his death, he ordered that all his files on the case be destroyed. It doesn't say why he ordered that, but apparently that was something he wanted done, even though he hadn't quite solved it yet, so not sure why. Anyway, in 2001, the case was reopened after having been closed, I'm guessing sometime during the 80s, doesn't quite say when. And a new homicide detective, Tom Butcher, was assigned to it, who believed the girls left the mall with somebody they trusted. And he is quoted as saying, "We can say that they were at one point seen with one individual, but we believe there was more than one involved." As far as sightings go, there have been a few possible witnesses located. Says here, a store clerk came forward around the time of the girls' disappearance and said that a woman told her that she had seen the girls at the mall that day, so that's already hearsay. The woman reported that she saw 3 girls being forced into a yellow pickup truck near Buddy's grocery store at the mall. The truck was described as having lights on top of it. The witness could never be located by police, and the story was never verified, so that's one. In 1981, years after the disappearance, a man said that he had been in a parking lot that day and he had seen a man forcing a girl into a van. The man in the van told him it was a family dispute and to stay out of it. And in April 2001, Bill Hutchins, a former Fort Worth police officer and security guard at the Seminary South Sears outlet, said that he saw the 3 girls with a security guard on the night they disappeared. But it doesn't say anything about Bill Hutchins maybe going around asking his fellow security guards that year, when everybody knew that the 3 girls had gone missing, whether any of them had been involved. And he waited until 2001 to divulge this information. This happened on December 23rd of 1974, so a couple days before Christmas, and the girls were going to go Christmas shopping. That was the whole reason for the trip. Now, the oldest two girls were going to go anyway, but the youngest could have stayed home. She was only 9, and she had asked her mother if she could go because she didn't want to spend the day alone. But her mother is like, no, you got no money, you might as well stay home. She kept on whining though, and eventually the mother gave in, but told her that she had to come home by 6. And the older girls, especially Renee, wanted to be back by 4, so well in time, because Renee had a Christmas party she wanted to attend with her new boyfriend who had given her a promise ring that morning, and she wanted plenty of time to get ready. So in other words, they weren't planning on going anywhere, and as far as I'm aware, we still have no idea what actually happened to them. And that is why we're going to look at this case using the tarot today. We're going to start off with the Urban Tarot deck, which is this one. And for any further questions, moving on to the Deviant Moon, which is this one. As per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the deck. As soon as I have about a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, and as per usual, the card that I show at the start also shows up in the reading, because right there at the bottom right we see the Death card. But we're starting at the top left, where we have the Strength card in reverse, we have the 5 of Swords, and we have the Knight of Swords, which in this deck is the King of Swords. Let's grab these 3. So the Strength being in reverse, followed by the 5 of Swords, kind of suggests to me that perhaps there was some type of falling out going on, or there was some type of disharmony within the group of the 3 girls. Maybe one of them's getting a little bit tired. Maybe one of them was like, you know what, I want to go. And the others were like, no, I still want to go to this other store. I still want to go to this other place. I believe it was Renee or Rachel. No, Renee, I think, who had just gotten the promise ring and wanted to be back on time so she could get ready for the party and stuff like that. She may have been a little bit impatient, and maybe the youngest 9-year-old wanted to go all over the place and maybe play some games in an arcade or something along those lines. Like there may have been some conflict going on in the little group, and then there was a strength issue as a result of that. I think people were just giving in to certain things or just getting really, really tired of the situation. And then in steps this King of Swords. We can see him over here, and in this deck it's even called the Game Master right there. And it almost seems as though somebody was probably already on the lookout, maybe not for them particularly, but just for any type of situation that they could manipulate. That's what it seems as though. So somebody who already knew a thing or two about influencing people just stepped into the situation because they noticed this conflict and thought that that would be their perfect opportunity to step in and take control of the situation. I think that's also what happened here. We have, though, the next card being the 3 of Swords over there, which is called Sorrow. And this is definitely one of the more dramatic 3 of Swords in the deck. And also the 9 of Pentacles right there on the end. So this 3 of Swords card, normally 3 of Swords is like third wheel. There could be a 3 as a crowd. It could be that there is a conflict between 3 people. At least this card seems to suggest something like that. I kind of feel like this is more of a there's too many people here to deal with. Perhaps the person whom was represented by the Knight of Swords over here, or the King of Swords, was like, okay, maybe a little bit more than I wanted. I need to deal with the situation, perhaps to bring it back down to 2 or 1, whichever it is that he felt he could handle. I'm guessing it's a he. Anyway, so we have that going on, that vibe, I guess you want to call it that. And then the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, which I think is perhaps almost like them feeling like they have to give something up in order to make things manageable for themselves. But I also feel like this 9 of Pentacles is coming from at least one of the girls feeling like they're definitely losing a lot here. Like initially they may have thought this person who stepped in to be some type of savior and somebody who was knowledgeable, who was going to help them out. And then we have the situation where there's a further conflict, but a different type of conflict that also, I think, leads to realization that they're in trouble. And they're like, oh no, this is really going to affect us badly. And there we have the 9 of Pentacles also showing that realization. Then on the second row we have the Prince of Cups, and the princes in this deck are the knights, because there is no king in this deck. So the king is the knight and the knight is the prince. Anyway, so we have here officially the Knight of Cups in reverse. We have the 9 of Cups also in reverse, and then we have the Therapist over here, but I'm going to leave her right there for now because I think we need to handle these two first. So we have here the Prince of Cups, or the Knight of Cups, like I said. Knight of Cups is normally somebody who's very self-involved, and this is also a card called the Filmmaker, so somebody who probably likes to have their say in things, likes to be in control, likes to set the scene, and they're, I guess, having trouble doing that. Probably once again coming back to the fact that there are perhaps more girls than he thought he knew he could handle. Then we have the 9 of Cups in reverse, so now we are looking at a very negative situation, because the 9 of Cups upright is normally like a very happy thing, harmony, peace, and people getting along, and I think this is quite the opposite. So I'm guessing as a follow-up to the cards there top right, this is the part where he makes it very well known in possibly some very crude ways that there are too many people here and it's affecting them personally, because usually the Knight of Cups in reverse is very self-focused, very self-centered, and they're going to take action to deal with that, and that's probably the extreme negativity that we see here with the 9 of Cups also reflecting on the girls. We see here the Therapist. Now the Therapist, I think, could be a different person. It's called the Therapist, but it is the Queen of Cups, which is actually the Queen in this deck. So I'm thinking this may be another person, or this may be the same perpetrator, like putting on their best face, and I'm thinking that this is in relation to the 9-year-old. I feel like they may have rid themselves very quickly of the 2 eldest two, and by ridding themselves, you can fill that in any which way you like, but I'm guessing that the 9-year-old was very quickly the only one left, because of course 9-year-olds are easier to control, and this person looks like they only really wanted control. Perhaps the older 2 were more difficult to control than he had actually hoped. Anyway, so we have a Therapist stepping in, which I feel like is their attempt at keeping the 9-year-old calm. Maybe having some sort of plan, or maybe hoping that there will be some type of plan for the 9-year-old, that they don't actually have to do anything with them, that they can maybe let them go somewhere or something, like there may be some type of inkling of sympathy forming for her. But the next card that we see here is the Star, and then the Death card. Now, with missing people who are suspected to have been kidnapped, very often when the Star comes up, I see that as their picture coming on the news, people drawing attention to the fact that they're missing, everybody looking for them, that type of thing. And this Star also really looks like somebody in a pristine outfit, reaching from the gutter, trying to be seen by people, like I'm here, that type of thing. So not only are people looking for them with the bright light there in the background, but also trying to get attention for themselves, and that is something that he really, really does not want by looks of things, because the next card we have here is the Death card. which is normally already an end to a chapter, but this death card also, I think, is them basically switching off any emotions that they may have had here with the Queen of Cups and just doing whatever it is that they need to do in order to end this possible exposure, and therefore also possible being found out for the monster that they are. At least it really looks like they decided, you know what, it's not worth the risk, it's not worth the trouble, and I'm just going to have to deal with this. So I feel like at this point none of the three girls are still around, but what happens next? Because we don't have any idea who this person is. There were a couple of people who saw a person with a yellow truck of some sort. Somebody saw a person with a van. Another person said that they saw a security guard, like I mentioned in the intro. But we don't have any clue. Oop, there goes a whole bunch on the floor. I'm just gonna grab those. This one and the rest fell face down, so I'm gonna shuffle those separately. Oops. Well, okay, fine. We got another King of Pentacles. So these three together, we have the Knight and the King of Pentacles. It could be that there is somebody else here whom is an accomplice, but it's the Empress. It's not the Three of Wands. Okay, so the Empress as well. Okay, you might be looking at a trio then, because initially I thought it was the Three of Wands there on the end. Where the Knight is already very practical, the King is the most well thought out in their actions, and the Empress is somebody who's normally very caring. So that's an interesting combination, because you would think that the person who did this would not be very caring, so this has to be another person. So it kind of looks as though there are two people that are kind of involved. There's one person who is more of a carrying out the task sort of person. That would be the Knight. And then we have the King over there. King of Pentacles is probably more the person who makes the plans. And then we have an Empress here who I'm kind of feeling is related to these two, but might not be aware of what it is that's been going on. And I think that they stepped into a caring role because they may have seen that their person, special other, whatever it is that this person is to them, was in a very odd mood perhaps, or just needing some type of extra attention and care, without them of course being aware of what actually happened. So they're kind of playing both sides here. On the one hand, they have somebody who's helping them out, and then the other, they have somebody who's also helping them out, but being completely unaware of what it is that they've been doing. So just kind of like helping them out emotionally, and possibly with just being there for them, even though they might not always know exactly what's going on. This might be a spouse of some sort, or perhaps a parent, somebody who's used to taking care of this person. It could be that the perpetrator, who I'm thinking is represented by the King of Pentacles over here, is somebody who would normally need a lot of care or demand it in some way. And they're pretty good at getting people to care for them. Like this might be somebody who has gotten a little manipulative over the years, like having something about them that makes people want to take care of them, want to help them out because they appear as though they couldn't do much harm. So this might be somebody who just is used to stepping into the care role for this person, and who now is doing it even more so because they appear to be, I don't know, out of sorts for some reason, which they of course do not know what the reason is. So what's next? Because I think these three cards are just showing the aftermath and just trying to return to some type of normalcy by tying up loose ends, and possibly also spitting some type of alibi. Okay. Two cards. Alright, we have the Eight of Wands and then the Two of Cups. Alright, so we're taking a lot of action here. We're also possibly receiving some messages. And then there is the Two of Cups here, which I have always found to be a little bit demanding, this Two of Cups. He appears to be kind of like cornering them, Literally, they're in the corner. This person on the right there, you can see that there's like a corner behind them, and the other person has their hand on the wall, and the other hand is kind of around them, even though they're supposedly toasting. So maybe there is this indoctrination phase going on between these two. So it's like, in other words, there's a lot of activity here. Maybe they're trying to distract them with all sorts of other things that they're doing. And while doing that, also trying to, I guess, rope them back into whatever fold they were initially in. Just giving them sort of busy work, whatever that might look like in their case, to keep their mind off of other things and to make sure that they stay focused on whatever it is that they agreed upon between them in the past. So I imagine that this is how they got back to their normal, whatever normal was for them. Well, what happened to them after that? I mean, were they ever suspected, or are they ever going to get caught? Because I think we're kind of at this point where things are being returned to a certain normalcy, like I said, and then we're just going through the motions for the rest of the next however many years. Let's see if we can find anything about whether they're ever going to get caught or not. Oh, they flipped. Okay, we have the Seven of Pentacles, and then we have over here Judgment, and we have the Three of Cups. Alright, that's interesting. So I'm thinking we got a few people here that are similar to our perpetrator, and while they're still friends now, that might eventually not pan out, or all three of them might end up getting caught together, because we see the Seven of Pentacles there on the left, so you basically reap what you sow. And on the right we have Judgment, so either they're going to find some way to get karma. Now, whether or not this is going to be public, and whether or not we're actually going to learn whom they are, and that they are connected to the disappearance of the three girls, I don't know. It doesn't really show. I am looking at the Judgment card and the Three of Cups, and I kind of feel like it's more of a private karma type of situation. Like the type of people that they surround themselves with will eventually bring them to some type of justice, even though it might not look like it. More like you have friends that just pull you down into a negative spiral, and eventually you'll end up in a terrible situation. That type of thing, and that will be a sort of judgment. That's kind of what this looks like. But I will shuffle again to see if we ever find out, like, are we ever going to know whom this is? That one. Okay, so justice is kind of on its side, which is kind of what I expected. I wanted to kind of turn it up right, but it's, I think, more of a too little too late situation, what just popped into my head. I'm thinking that maybe eventually we'll figure out who it is, but by then it might be that the person is on their deathbed or something along those lines, like, oh, we now know who it is, but they just passed away. Or that might also be the case, like we finally got a name and we go looking for them, and then it turns out that they passed away 5 or 10 years ago, so there's no way that they're ever going to see any justice in this world, that type of thing. So I'm guessing that this justice over here, or the judgment over here, is definitely going to be of a different variety, so not in a public courtroom, but in some other way, because justice is here, even though it's on its side. So I guess it's going to be a dissatisfying type of justice, which we might have to wait for some time before we actually figure this out. Are we going to ever find the girls, though? Are we going to see any traces of them? And let's see what this is. Wheel of Fortune. Okay, that's interesting, because Wheel of Fortune would normally mean like things are going to change, which if I'm asking the question if we're ever going to find anything, could be that something might have to change first in order for us to find it, Or I'm also kind of picking up on luck of the draw, like just depends, spin the wheel and see what happens, that type of thing. So it's not entirely certain if we're ever going to see anything of them. It may be that we need somebody to just stumble upon it, or it might need something else to change, like I said. Like maybe, since I am putting it over here, I'm reminded of the medical setting of the death card over there. Like it may be that we need to see some more medical advances in order for them to be able to identify the bodies, perhaps. Like I said in the intro, there have been remains found, but back when they were found, stuff like DNA technology was not as prevalent as it is today. I believe there were some rudimentary practices being carried out, but they couldn't like identify people as readily as they could now, and I do believe that it wasn't even admissible in court yet at that time. So maybe even if they had figured it out with DNA back then, they couldn't arrest anybody over it because it wasn't considered evidence. I think I'm just like going off of what I remember from other cases. In any case, it might be that we will not see anything for some time. Let's try another card to just get some clarification on that. Oh, that's quite a lot of cards, but I don't think we need all of them. There's like 5 of them here. Okay, there's still 3 remaining. I guess these are the cards we need then. Alright, let's grab these 2. We have Failure, the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. We have here the Princess of Discs. This is the kindergarten teacher, or the Page of Pentacles in other words. And the 7 of Swords, Futility. Okay, that's interesting. So it kind of looks more like somebody might be trying, but they might not be going about it in the right way. And also they might end up giving up, because the 7 of Swords over there is called Futility, and the 7 of Swords is of course the card of some type of trickery, a treachery, a betrayal, things not being quite what they seem. There might also be some misleading evidence, perhaps leading on a wild goose chase, which leads then to the reversed 7 of Pentacles, which is again reaping what you sow, but it's not what you wanted to sow, so you've reaped the wrong thing. So I'm guessing whoever is working on this case, whoever this Page of Pentacles is, somebody who is in this Page of Pentacle energy is somebody who does not spend their resources wisely, so they may be doing the wrong thing entirely. And this might be going on for some time. So it feels like whomever is still on this case may not be doing the right thing, which will not lead to the right results, and something needs to change there before we see any progress in this case. So that is what I'm seeing for the Fort Worth trio. I hope you found it interesting at least. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. That really helps the channel along. If you want to subscribe, that's even better. I hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.